Welcome to Crypt Theory, where we go into the unknown, the supernatural, and the dark mysteries of the real world. Let's get into it. Alright, so today we are talking about probably one of the more fun, interesting cryptids we've done so far. Not including Goatman, because Goatman is officially the goat of cryptids, because I did not know until making that video he carried an axe, which I think is amazing. But besides that, we're not talking about Goatman today. We are talking about the jackalope. North America's most whimsical cryptid, I would have to say. The mythical horned hare with has captured imaginations for generations, blending folklore, humor, and touching supernatural elements to some degree. We're gonna go into the histories, sightings, origins, as we do on this channel. As always, thanks for listening to me talk for 15 minutes. I hope you and as always, I hope you enjoy. Let's get into the good stuff. It's often described as a jackrabbit with antelope horns. A creature of American folklore. We've done a lot of American folklore pieces. I believe I only have two that are not, which is the Yeti and the Chupacabra, that are indirectly American. But later on down the road, we are going to get into more. Once we get into the more obscure ones, we'll get out of the U.S., but we're gonna stay in the U.S. for a little bit longer. With the other videos I have coming up. Back to the jackalope feature. Origins trace back to early European settlers, brought with them tales of horned rabbits. These stories likely evolved, merged into local wildlife to create the uniquely American jackalope, which interesting of how this was perceived of apparently started in Europe and they brought it over, and then the folklore took off from that point, which I think is fairly interesting, but that does happen a lot, and we see that happen a lot. Douglas, Wyoming is considered the jackalope's unofficial home. The creature's modern legend began in 1932. Two young hunters, Douglas Herrick and his brother Ralph Herrick, stumbled upon a dead jackrabbit and a pair of deer antlers as a joke. They mounted the deer antlers on the jackrabbit's head, creating the first taxidermy jackalope. So when you think jackalope, people usually just think, oh, it's that fake statue with two boys playing a trick of it's just a jackrabbit and they just threw antlers on it, which is kind of the case, but not the case at the same time, because there was reported sightings in Europe before that. This quirky creation sparked local sensation as it did, and soon jackalopes became a popular feature in taxidermy shops and roadside attractions across the U.S. The Herrick brothers' creation inspired a whole new wave of jackalope lore. So their creation single-handedly threw... It's like they threw a can of gasoline into a fire and it just reignited. It was burning very, very minimally. There was nothing left. They just poured a whole can of gasoline on that and it just sparked it again. That is usually what happens with a bunch of urban legends and cryptids, as we've seen several times before. The 1930s marked the beginning of its rise to fame. By the 40s, the legend spread far beyond that point in Wyoming, with stories of jackalope sightings and encounters becoming a staple of American folklore. So that is a huge turning point. And this thing's lore is some fake thing that happened compared to the technical, legit sightings from when Europeans came over. Um, According to legend, jackalopes are elusive, rarely seen, but they are, when they are, often described as able to mimic human voices. Stories tell of cowboys hearing jackalope singing along to their campfire songs or mimicking conversations, which is interesting. Are we sure that's not a skinwalker? Okay. The jackalope isn't just a figure of fun scientific twist on the tail. In reality, some rabbits and hares do develop horn-like growth due to viruses. Virus called the Shope papilloma. Shope papilloma. I think that's how you say it. These growths, while not true horns, could have inspired and reinforced this legend. We saw also this as a case of a virus in the chupacabra case we covered, of how some virus these animals can contract, make them have vastly different features than as they normally would, or make it look like they have features that they normally would not. The virus causes tumors to grow on the rabbit's head and face, which can resemble horns in some cases. This is rare, but a real phenomenon that provides a fascinating connection between folklore and nature. You do see this a lot in cryptids. Just something completely normal, and people twist it into a folklore, and it makes it more than it actually is, but at the same time more interesting, and more people wanting to say, oh, I want to see the unknown, and I want to make sure this is truly unknown. Today, jackalope remains a beloved part of American folklore, celebrated in festivals, roadside attractions, and even by the town of Douglas, Wyoming, which issues jackalope hunting licenses as a tourist gimmick. So that's always fun. You see this with a certain town thing. You saw this with Mothman. You saw this with Goatman. You saw this. We also saw this with. You see this with Bigfoot, but that's not usually in one centralized location. You see this here. Yeah. You see this with a lot of cryptids throughout history. Of if they have one certain town in America, that's gonna be their tourist attraction to playing. You also see this with Nessie and stuff like that. And it brings in a good bit of money, so why wouldn't the city not, which also pushes it even farther. Every year, Douglas, Wyoming, hosts a jackalope days, a festival celebrating the mythical creature with parades, contests, and plenty of themed merchandise. As a lot of these things do, festival has helped cement its status as a cultural icon. Same with Mothman, same with the Bigfoot, same with Nessie, same with all those, as you'll see. While the jackalope is a fun and whimsical creature, it also reflects human tendency to create and embrace myths. As it does, it shows folklore can evolve, blending humor, hoaxes, as the Nessie photo is a good example of. Elements of natural world can create something truly unique, which is interesting, of how people can make something out of nothing, especially with folklore, and how one person can say they saw something, or two teenagers or two people can make a joke and did what they did, but now it's a cultural icon because they did that. So it is interesting for sure. The truth behind all this is questionable. While most jackalope encounters are undoubtedly results of hoaxes, misidentification, which we see a lot in cryptid cases, the legend does persist to highlight the enduring appeal to these cryptid tales and cryptid understanding, and wanting to see if this is truly something that is real or compared to something like fake, something that's not real, um, which is fairly interesting. There's mysteries do still lurk everywhere, really. Uh, this it could be real, could not. Same thing with Bigfoot. Same thing with Yeti. Same thing with everything we've covered on the channel so far. Could be real, could not. The most unlikely one is Goatman, but he carries an axe, so I wouldn't doubt it. So what? So we've learned that jackalope, fascinating blend of folklore, humor, touch of reality. Whether you see it as a whimsical hoax or a symbol of the wild imagination of the American West, still remains as an enduring part of our cultural landscape today. It's had such a big impact. It's had a big impact in the same way Bigfoot did. Um, Also, Nessie, same impact. Relatively bigger impact than Mothman and Nessie, arguably, and a slightly less bigger impact than Nessie did. And the Yeti, which those are not in the U.S., and those are outer creatures and stuff. But thanks for listening to me talk. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell while you are down there. Next episode, we will be talking about the Tylomane. We're gonna be leaving the U.S. for a second, and then we're gonna be coming right back. Yeah, next episode will be about the Tylomane. That's gonna be a bunch of fun to go into. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.